So this is a tutorial for using 3D objects in Photoshop in order to help with your drawing in Photoshop. It's not a replacement, so it's not a case of building stuff in Maya and then just drawing over the top. It's really just there as a guideline in the same way as you'd use like a wooden maquette kind of model for sketching at home. So what I'm going to do is go into Maya. I'm going to create a sphere. Let's have a look. I'm going to use this. This is a basic demonstration of 3D stuff in Maya in Photoshop. So I'm just going to have this sphere here. I want to create a texture for it. So I'll go to the hypershade when it loads up. Just move this into the screen here. Create a Lambert. Just going to double click on it in order to get the attributes up. Click on the checkered icon in color because I'm going to apply a file texture to it, texture file, and in there I've got, oops, not that. So I'm going to find the texture for it, which is a cross. So in this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply the cross to this this ball here. So I'm going to find the material that I created. Just going to right click on it, assign material to selection, and that will assign it to this. If I just press 6, and then on here you can see it's been assigned. So what I want to do is just make sure it's mapped properly because it's a bit of a funny angle. So I'm going to just go to Planar Mapping, and I want to just, I think the default is fine. It's going to go through the x-axis. So I'm just going to apply that, just tweak it a little bit, just turn it like this. So in here now I just have a cross on a ball, pretty simple, like a rugby ball, and I want to export this so that I can use it in Photoshop. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to go to export, export selection, and I'm going to go to where I need to put it, and I'm going to just overwrite the ball OBJ that I created there. Now you may not have the OBJ settings already in there. If you go to just Window, Settings, Preferences, and Plugin Manager, and then in there you'll find your OBJ export, which is just in there. If that's not loaded, you're not going to get an .obj option when you go to export. So you may have to come into your plugin manager and switch that on if you don't get it. It's not usually on by default. So if this is the first time you've done it, then the likelihood is you're going to have to go in there and turn on the plugin. So I'm going to just create a new file in Photoshop, and I'm just going to make it 1024 or whatever, so it's not too massive. In fact, I'm just going to check that that is the size. Let's have a look. Yep, 1024 pixels. And I'm going to make sure this is on 3D in the main settings. So it's in 3D in there. Often when it's first loaded up, it's usually in Essentials. Go into 3D and you'll get in the 3D settings. And all you need to do is just go to File. Let's have a look. No, 3D. New 3D layer from File. You want to go into there. I need an OBJ setting, which is the OBJ. I'm going to find the ball and I'm going to open it. And I'm just going to click OK because it's giving me the scene size defaults, and the ball should appear hopefully without crashing. There we go. So it defaults to using the orbit cam in here, and all I've got here is down here on the right hand side it's just a layer. It's got the cross texture applied to it, and I can switch that on and off, and you can see the same as in Maya. If I look at the hypershade in Maya, it's gonna have the same stuff in it. So the default color texture is the diffuse, I should say, which is the it's using the cross .png for the diffuse texture. If I go into Photoshop, you can see the diffuse is that cross there as well. And I can turn it on and off, but the cross is there. I'm going to leave it on for now because it's pretty handy. And it's just a layer. It's just the same as any other layer. You can just turn it on and off. But it's using 3D space. The orbit tool is the object you'll get. Is the main zoom tool that you'll get there. Or the main viewport tool. Sorry. All your viewport tools are down here, so you can pan as well if you're using this one. So you can move around like that. We can zoom in and out as well using the zoom tool. So you can just use these three sets down here in order to manipulate it and get the camera to where you want it to be. You've also got your lighting up here on the right hand side, and you can move your lighting around as well, so you can change the way it's lit. Up here you've got your top viewport, and you can change which viewport it is. You can go to bottom, and you can go to right and left, just like you can in any 3D program. But for this demonstration, all I'm doing is I'm just wanting to use this just as a basis for drawing, just drawing over the top of drawing a character's face, just in a very basic way. I'd imagine most people are going to use this probably in a more complex, using more complex 3D forms, because that's what it's so useful for. But for this one, I'm just using a sphere or rugby ball shape, just to show how you could use it. So this is your layer in there, and turn it on and off, and I can create a new layer. Everything's just exactly the same as before. All of that stuff disappears as soon as I'm on a new layer, a rasterized layer. All of those settings disappear, and if I click back on it, they'll all come back. So just be aware of which layer you're in. So what I want to do is just select the brush tool, and I can just basically just use this to do just some basic drawing. Just going to draw some eyes on either side, and I'm going to get another drawing on that side. What I'm doing is I'm able to use this ball in order to just have a shape that a lot of cartoonists use as a reference point. They'll often draw this ball on a ball shape with a grid on, and it's a very, very good habit to get into. But just for starting off, if this is the first time you've worked like this and you're just kind of getting used to it, it's just quite a handy tool to be able to use. And then I'm just going to give them a lip there like that, and I just put it out, just an ear on the side there like this, and some hair. Just going to create some hair over the top there. So it's just a handy tool just for guidance, really, and we can go into more complex uses of it in a bit. There's some hair there. I'm just gonna trim it down a bit there. Now I can just turn that off, and I've got my face shape, and it's just been handy for being able to work out exactly where all these features go by using the ball as if I'm drawing on a rugby ball with a pen. It just makes that easier. So it means that if you're doing an animation and you're wanting to draw a character in various different positions from different poses and different camera angles, you can create a basic 3D shape from which to manipulate and move the head around and then draw over the top of it. So it's very handy for doing stuff like that.